like to welcome everybody to Let's Talk Racing tonight. Matt is here, I'm here, and Matt brought a guest. Who's your guest with us?
Harry Leech.
Harry Leech of the Leech gang.
That's right. First gen paint.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now see, he's getting...
No, you're logged in twice.
Yeah, but I didn't get his.
See, you might have to have him watch one while you watch the other.
Well, I don't know if we're on the same one or not.
Hang on a second here.
No, you are. You're just logged in later.
Tell him we just started it. We'll get him to monitor the other one. Let's see, you're signed in, so let's go to your messages. Actually, I got a better idea.
Boy, you're going to have us all confused tonight.
I
I haven't even got my notepad yet.
Well, that's all your fault. You're sitting there, oh, I got 7 minutes, got plenty of time.
Dude.
Yeah, your 7 minutes ran out 2 minutes ago. All right, let's see here.
Okay. Just getting things squared away here. We're trying to, at least.
There you go. Now you've got some people to monitor, and he's got people to monitor.
All right.
Now, which one's he monitoring?
The other chat room, the one I told you we were going to try out.
Well, how many people are on there?
So far you got four.
Yeah,
5
4.
now. This is some of the ones that the people from Tony Stewart fans are going to be jumping on.
That's the new one.
Yeah, if you on your left page, if you click more,
On mine?
yes, look at your computer in front of you. See the left side page? See, go up.
Yeah, over here.
See where it says show more? Go down. Up. Down. Right there.
See more, not show more.
Now it goes way down below everything. Go back up to the message box.
Oh, jeez.
See the asterisk in front of the line? Keep going. That's the link for the other chat room. You don't go in there because you're already in it over here.
Yeah.
I'm in
I
it
got
over
you
there.
Yeah.
Well, no.
I'll take care of this one.
You take care of that one.
Yes.
That's what I said. I tell you. That's why he's only good for being a grip. I'll tell you what he needs to grip. Get a grip on himself. Anywho,
Hold on.
we're going to be having fun. We've got Hal Martin, the Raging Cajun.
He's calling in at 7:15.
Yep, the ARCA series.
7:30 is Dustin Jarrett,
Yep, he's our
announcer from
announcer from
Eldora, Rossburg, Ohio.
Yep. We're going to see if we can sweet talk him into getting hooked up with Tony to give a shout out sometime.
And Terry's supposed to be calling in at 7:45.
And Terry's at 7:45. Now, our buddy at Eldora, he's told me he loves to get into the chat stuff and talk.
Ah, good. We're gonna have we're gonna have fun with him.
He said, "Hey, I'll go on there for as long as you want." So
Yeah, we're gonna have fun with
we'll
him.
have Terry call in at the same time. We'll have a good time with everybody. Check up on anything in the news that's happened in the racing world lately.
Anything I can do to get live video to show up better? Kind of.
I was reading about the repave job at Daytona.
Yeah, apparently the pits are bigger now for everybody.
Pits are bigger now. Should minimize some guys getting run over at 60 miles an hour. That'd be good. I haven't seen anything though whether or not they repaved the road course as well. I know the main oval and the pit road's been repaved. I haven't seen anything on the road course.
The road course, it probably would be, but Hey,
You never know. I mean, they laid down, I don't know how many thousand tons of asphalt, so anything's possible there, I guess. But yeah, the
Harry, HARRYLEACH.
Well, I know both ways of spelling Leech.
actually there's 3 or 4.
Probably.
You ready yet?
I tell you, with the last name of Leech, that's pretty bad because you got so many bad jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Leech on society, or
I've
Probably heard them all.
yeah,
I've heard them all.
Oh,
If you haven't, give them a chance. They'll throw some more at you. I want to say hi to the people out there from the Stuart
Haas Racing.
Okay, as well as Tony Smokies and Smokies, something Nation or something like that. SSH or I forget what they call it.
The
SSS.
Smokes Nation.
Smoke Signals, I think is what it was. Smoke Signals something. But there's several fan clubs out there for Tony Stewart. I want to welcome all of them that are watching. If they don't watch till later, then they're going to miss the welcome. Oh well, sucks to be them.
I've been a Tony Stewart fan for a long time too.
Yeah.
I remember watching him come up through dirt. It's always been
What do you go for?
an amazing driver. Oh yeah.
You have to ask Terry about some of her dirt stuff.
Yeah, but he wasn't all dirt.
No.
He ran asphalt midgets and
Oh, yeah.
sprints, and he still did some dirt, non-winged stuff. But he was mostly into the asphalt, and then Indy.
I don't know if you can say he was mostly into the asphalt. He did.
He was
did
majority
pretty,
of it.
He did a pretty good.
He was a
50-50.
majority.
Yeah.
You know, he did do a little bit
Right.
of dirt. Then IRL. I don't think he won a championship in the IRL.
Yeah, he did.
Did he?
He's won a championship in every division he's ever raced full time.
And he is one of the few people that won in the midget sprint and Silver Crown in the same year.
Mhm.
94,
I can't swear to the year.
95, I believe.
Yeah.
Then off to Gibbs Racing, where he started out in then the Busch Grand National.
Yep.
44 Pennzoil car.
Yep.
Remember the Baby Ruth car?
That was Jeff Gordon,
Very good. I was trying to mislead you.
which was Bill Davis Racing, and was a Ford. Actually, it was a Ford. And Ray Evernham was actually his crew chief at the end. I think it was at the end he was the crew chief on that. And then they went to Hendrick Racing, and history was made. Try screwing me up again.
That's easy. Nobody's spot for you. I'll think you'll wake back. I wouldn't do that to you.
Go on the chat site, and Emerson's having a hard time booting this thing up, and so is somebody else.
The only thing I can do is tell them to reboot the computer, turn off some of the stuff that's running in the background, because we are putting out.
Well, they can't hear you.
Oh, can't hear me. That's unusual.
They don't have. They can't get the web. They can't get the feed to show
all right,
up.
Well, I get on the chat room. I go bring them over.
Speed weeks will be starting pretty soon.
February 5th, 6th. So, and actually, they are doing a test. I believe an open test next week. All the teams will be there.
All the teams?
All nationwide trucks.
Oh, really?
Cup, they're all going to be there, and I believe it starts next week.
Okay.
And not that one, the other one.
Let's blow out the microphones.
They're right there. Yeah, that's our volume. So I can we can blow them out real easy. So, and it's actually real sensitive. 42 days? 46 days. 46 days. Countdown till the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
Not too far off.
Got the 24 hours of Daytona before that.
That's the first week in February.
Thanks.
They do that, and then don't they do Daytona 200, the bikes, and then we go to...
I don't remember if that's before or after. We're going to find out. Just find out.
I can't remember that. Trucks nationwide and Cup at Daytona to kick off the season. And really looking forward to seeing the nationwide cars run out there. The new body, the COT of nationwide.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Rolex 24 is January 7th through the 9th. That's this weekend.
I didn't see anything on
No.
speed.
I'm sorry. That's the Roar before the Rolex 24.
Rolex should be the weekend after that.
The preseason test is the 20th through the 22nd.
Yep.
Grand Am Sports Car Challenge is the 28th. 29th and 30th is the Rolex 24. And you got the Bud Shootout.
Nationwide.
Daytona 500 qualifying is the 13th.
Oh, that's the ARCA. Wait, February 12th is ARCA.
Yep.
Then qualifying. Then the Gatorade Duels on February 17th. 18th is the Nationwide Series. Next Era Energy Resources.
Truck Series is the 18th.
Sorry. Drive for COPD.
Yep. That's the
Nationwide.
The 500's on the 20th. Then you got Supercross
In March. The Ricky Carmichael deal.
Daytona 200's in March 12th.
March 12th. Okay. So
I
not
thought it was
far off.
earlier than that. I thought the AMA
So did I.
was earlier in the year, but things
Well,
change.
weather-wise, though, even though it might be nice, I'm sure that
Oh yeah.
the weather would be a whole lot better.
Right. Should be.
No, I'm just kind of trying to keep up. Now that we got to keep up with 2 chat rooms. Yes, Kevin, the chat room is finally up. Do you got a feed? Kevin, if you can see this, type in there that you can see our feed. I know it's a little bit. Come on. I like this one a lot better, Doc. I don't like the old one. Sorry. Type in hello. What the heck is going on here, Doc?
Always something.
Man, it's computers. Okay. Now we're back. Hal Martin calling in at 7:15, right? Yeah. Dustin, Jarrett, and then Terry O'Connell will be calling in at 7:45. Daytona coming up, starting of a big season.
Yeah.
Langley is getting ready to finally announce their...
I'm going to do a stop and restart. I posted that.
Well, no, you don't have to.
Not
I
unless
mean,
you
if you want to.
Okay.
Usually, because we got a lot of people that are out there on Facebook, we'll take and get everybody to sign in through Facebook. That way they can do chats and everything else. And if the guests have a Facebook account that's pretty much known, then it's all right for them to sign in too. Because but if we got somebody I know some of the guys have their own accounts that they have handled by their PR people, but they have their own personal account, and they aren't about to log in with their personal account. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you from New Orleans?
Oh, by the way, we are live again. So.
I'm knocking. Hal, are
I am
you?
from New Orleans, Louisiana. That's correct.
New Orleans. I spent a lot of time down there.
Oh yeah, we have a good time.
Unfortunately, every time I go through the Big Easy, it's for work-related purposes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you need to pass by here and stop in and have some good food and some good a good time instead of working around.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of time to just see the sights. It's mostly to and from the airport and offshore, and trying to get back home and do some more racing as soon as I can.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
He's an oceaneering guy. Did you hear that, Hal?
Oh, I'm sorry, say again?
I said he's an oceaneering guy.
Oh, okay, all right.
So
Where do you, I guess, where do you come down? Where do you do work at down there?
Right now I'm flying back and forth to Norway for work. So
Okay.
doing the oil field out there, but I was actually on the Deepwater Horizon response for BP. My normal boat is the Boa Deep Sea. It's a large, heavy weather construction vessel. So most of the work we've been doing down there lately is for BP, though.
which probably isn't a good name down in New Orleans right now, is it?
Well, I mean, it comes with the territory. I mean,
Yeah.
accidents happen offshore, and that was one big one. And of course, nobody's happy down here about the oil spill. Obviously, I mean, heard a lot of our Sportsman's Paradise nickname. You know what I'm saying? And we earned that nickname from all the good fishing and offshore stuff down here, and that obviously the oil spill hurt a good bit, but wildlife's bouncing back, and fishing's coming back up. So things are going pretty well. I mean, I know they had to clean up a little slow at first, but they really took care of it the way they needed to, and they still have some way to go, but it's getting pretty good.
Let's get back on to racing here real quick before we get too off. Hal, New Orleans, Louisiana, you're going to run ARCA this year, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, we're going to be starting. Our season's getting ready to crank up. We have preseason testing down at Daytona next week, and then about I guess a month later, we have the race down at Daytona on February 12th. So as of right now, we have a 5-race deal put together, solidified in stone, that I will be racing. I'll be racing for Petrini Motorsports, and as of right now, we have 5 races for sure that we're going to be doing. Obviously, our goal is to run the full season. We want to run for a championship. I know we have a caliber team that can compete for a championship. So we're going to try and do what we can. I'm actively pursuing sponsors right now to try and get the full season sewn up.
Now, what got you into the ARCA series? Tell us a little bit about your background. Where did you start?
Yeah, sure. Well, coming from Louisiana, there's not much racing down here, especially not much asphalt racing. I mean, there's some dirt ovals in the area, and go-kart racing is basically the only other avenue, and that's where I started. I actually started racing on road courses, running road course events in shifter carts, 80cc and 125cc shifter carts.
My kind of guy. All right.
So those who are familiar with the shifters, they're about 100-mile-an-hour go-karts that run on basically dirt bike engines, and you got six speed sequential shifting on them. So that's my background there, and my passion was always stock car racing. My dream and goal in life is to be a NASCAR driver, and basically the only way to make that transition was to start racing late models down south. There weren't any tracks in Louisiana, so we had to travel. Started racing late models back in 2006, picked up a championship in 2007 at Mobile Speedway, won a few races along the way, raced in Mobile, Pensacola, Birmingham, all across the southeast in the late models. And back in 2009, I made the decision that really wasn't moving forward anymore in my career racing the late models. It was time to step up to higher division, higher series, and that's when I decided to look into the ARCA series, and ran 3 ARCA races in 2009 for Cunningham Motorsports and did really well in 3 events. We picked up an 11th place finish in the debut, a 3rd place in Chicago in the 2nd race, and then a 9th in Kansas, and really turned a lot of heads in Chicago and decided this is where we need to be, and decided to devote all my time and efforts into the ARCA series from that point forward.
Sounds good.
So we've actually been around racing a little bit. Now, you said you were on road course with shifters. We've all run shifters up here, actually, and 2 cycles, and so go-karting and moving up and doing all this. How do you feel about going up to Daytona? Is this your first time at Daytona?
This will be my second race at Daytona, actually.
Okay.
And I mean, making the transition from go-karts to full-body stock cars, that was a pretty big jump. And, fortunately, I had some mentors and some guys along the way to help me out with the transition. I went to a few racing schools after the go-karting to make the transition to those big cars. I had the help of Andy Hillenberg and a few others along the way, and really fine-tuning my stock car skills.
Right.
Daytona, it's, for me, I always dreamed of racing at Daytona. I mean, every kid's dreams to race Daytona, and I was able to make that dream a reality last year. Unfortunately, we were taken out in the lap 7 crash. That was none of our doing. It was a great experience, and this year, we've got a fast car. We're down on testing for a Hoosier tire a couple weeks ago down in Daytona on the new surface, and the car's fast, the track is fast, and I think we'll have a good piece here come February.
Now, racing at Daytona, since you've done it before, I've got a little experience racing a 4/10 mile banked paved track with a 100cc Yamaha. So I guess what I'm asking, what kind of mental preparation did you find yourself having to make to commit yourself to going flat out the whole way around and stay out of trouble?
I can't tell you that secret.
Well, I know what I had to do, because a 4/10 mile on a go-kart, that's flat out, and just there's a lot to keep track of, but it's also easy to fall in that trap of just kind of blanking out what's going on around you and just trying to be smooth. And I've got a lot of respect for the guys that run the super speedways, because you really have to stay on top of yourself and not get trapped into that. There's not a whole lot happening, because you're not working your legs as much as you would, say, Martinsville or a short track or even a road course.
Right. I mean, it all comes down to I guess your mental processing. Basically, I mean, that's what I tell everyone. It's racing on the super speedways. It seems slow, and you're going 190 miles an hour, and you're 3 wide, and you're 7 rows deep, and again, at the same time, you need to process everything so quickly, and it's happening so fast around you. That's what it basically boils down to. I mean, it's very mentally exhausting to race in super speedways. I raced Daytona last year. Of course, I only ran, like I said, a few laps before getting caught up in a crash. But then I also raced Talladega for Venturini Motorsports last year as well, and we ran the whole race. I came home 10th in that one. It was my first time with the team, first time at the track, and after that race, I literally was mentally exhausted. I really, just after I got out of the car, while I was in the car, I'm fine. That's one thing I tell people too, is that as far as preparation, I really don't think about the race until I get buckled in. I mean, sure, I picture, what I'm going to be doing and stuff like that, but I'm trying to just keep cool, calm, collective attitude around the racetrack, around the garage area. As soon as I strapped in, it's business time, and it's one thing when I get strapped in, buckled in, I'm ready to go and just ready to focus in on what I'm doing. And it's another thing. It's when you're behind the wheel, you can't remember, or at least I personally can't remember what I did exactly when and things like that, because things are happening so quick. Like I said, you're processing so fast. So it comes down to your mental processing ability.
Do you see yourself preparing? Are you preparing different from when you're in the ARCA car compared to the shifters and all that? Do you see yourself mentally preparing differently?
I definitely do, as far as I guess studying. One thing I do is I review old races. That's one thing I do now that I'm racing in series that are televised. Whereas with shifter carts and what I was racing before, even the late models on a local level, I really had no video to be able to go and look at. But when I study tape, I go over videos. We have a lot of different features at Venturini Motorsports that we have access to that we can better prepare ourselves just to kind of look at scenarios and see how cars react in certain scenarios in the draft, and and whatnot, and just kind of make a judgment call from there. And it kind of just helps me better mentally prepare for if I'm put in a certain situation, how could I get out of it, or how could I benefit from it. But as far as other mental aspects, before a race, I try and take about 15 minutes, at least 15 minutes, 30 minutes before the event, and really just kind of be alone and just think about what I'm going to be doing. And not necessarily exactly what I'll be doing behind the wheel, but kind of mentally calm myself and get ready for battle.
I always call it taking a nap.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much what I'm getting at. Just I like to be a little more complex, I guess, when I explain it, because I can never sleep on race day. I never. The night before a race, I get I get a decent amount of sleep, but I'm just so fired up and thinking about what I'll be doing the next day that it's tough for me to get a good shut eye.
Yeah. Well, and a friend of mine, I was talking to him a couple weeks ago, that he's the only man that I know that you have to wake up. You can buckle him into a car, and you have to wake him up before he goes out for his races.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he will literally fall asleep in the car.
Mm-hmm.
So
I never could do that.
I've done that. Night racing go-karts. Sit on the grid, fall asleep. Have somebody tap me on the shoulder, ask if ready for the engine to start.
Now, you're going with Venturini Motorsports. This is who you got your 5-race deal with. And you couldn't be with a better ARCA team.
That's correct. I mean, those guys, in fact, I was at the shop yesterday. I flew up to North Carolina just to fine-tune my seat in the race car and just see what the guys were doing. And they are busting their butts right now getting these cars ready for Daytona. I mean, we have a lot of good guys over there. They are 110% committed to what they're doing. They're passionate about what they're doing, and great team. I mean, like I said, they give their all. I'm gonna give them my all too for them guys, because they earned it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they are working late hours right now, just massaging on these cars every single day and trying to get them prepared.
And now you got a sponsor for this. We need to plug your sponsors here real quick, so I don't forget.
Okay. Actually, I mean, for this race, our sponsor has not been announced yet, so that will be up forthcoming. So I can't give any premature announcements here, but you know, I got to give thanks to a lot of the people in my area that have been helping me along the way. A lot of family friends that have really stepped up this year and put forth some effort and funding to get me to go racing on this big time level. And without them, it wouldn't be possible. So do have to give thanks to them. Look for a sponsor announcement here within the next couple of weeks, or possibly the next couple of days. We're working and ironing all that out, so hopefully we'll be able to get it taken care of and be able to make that announcement soon.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, hopefully you'll give us a call back in and let us know who it is.
Definitely, I could do that.
Okay.
All right.
If you guys want to have me back on the show, I'll definitely be more than happy to come back on the show and discuss. I know we have testing next week, so.
How is it you got the Raging Cajun name? Louisiana, I get that, but somebody had to call you the Raging Cajun.
Yeah, it's I'll just throw a little bit of my accent out there, because I'm from the Bayou areas of South Louisiana, and we got a little bit of a Cajun accent, and y'all can probably hear it in my tone a little bit, but you know, it's just part of living down here. I'm a Cajun, born and bred, 6th generation Cajun, and grew up here my whole life, and really it's the raging part of it just came in through racing. I think there was one guy over in Mobile had spent some time out here or something, and he just one day, just in passing, said the Raging Cajun. It's kind of stuck since then. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's you know, racing's a fast sport, obviously, and Raging Cajun kind of fits my area here. It's stuck with me.
All right.
Do you get a lot of flack over that going into ARCA and NASCAR and all that?
Not really. I mean, I think one thing guys are looking for, especially in the upper series, is something different, someone unique, and someone from out of the box, I guess you could say. I mean, not many racers come from Louisiana, so it gives them a unique factor to work with and a unique pitch line. So I think it's pretty cool. I enjoy racing my whole life. I have respect for the sport, and I love every bit of it. And I've been welcomed with open arms so far. So I hope to keep that. A big thing for me is to earn the respect of the drivers in the series and the officials. And I think I've done a pretty good job of doing that, and I respect them just as much.
Well, good, and that's one thing you got to work on, especially in the ARCA series. You got a lot of I don't want to say it, but old talent, guys that have been there for a long time, and you really got to race and get their respect, don't you?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And I've raced. I mean, again, growing up, I really, when I was younger, Talladega was the track I went to twice a year. Every single race for Talladega, we were there. ARCA's been racing there for a long time. And just seeing some of the guys that used to race in that series still there, like some Frank Kimmel and guys like that. I mean, they're now racing against them side by side. It's pretty surreal. And, like I said, I have the utmost respect for all those guys, especially the veterans of the sport. I mean, I look to them for advice often. So hopefully they'll continue to help out and be there for me. So, definitely a lot of respect for those guys for doing it for so long and continuing to enjoy it.
Have you found that in the ARCA series you get a lot of help from some of these veterans of the sport?
Oh, definitely. I mean, and it's been great. I mean, it's helped my adapting process as well. I mean, some of the team owners that I've had the privilege of driving for and talking to have been around the sport for a long time. Some of the drivers in the sport, they've all been very helpful. And like I said, the ARCA series has been extremely helpful. Like I said, it's great to have those drivers there and willing to help out younger upcoming drivers that really are just breaking into the sport.
Well, good. It's good to hear that you at least got some guidance. They're just not letting you going out there and wreck cars. It's good to hear you got some good guidance.
Definitely, and that's one thing I kind of pride myself in too. Is I take care of my equipment as much as I can. I mean, when I was racing late models, I literally was racing for myself. I mean, I owned the team, I operated the team. I had a couple of guys down here that helped me work on it, but it was really a shoestring family operation, and we did what we could. But whenever I cracked the right front fender or whenever I stuffed the car in the wall, I was the one fixing it. So I know exactly what it is to repair these cars and how expensive it gets and how time-consuming it gets. So I do have a greater respect for the guys at the shop and the team owners for cutting those checks. So definitely one thing I pride myself in is trying to stay clean on the track.
Got to finish a race before you can win a race.
That's right. It's 100% correct. I mean, it's something, like I said, I've been respectful of since I've been racing. So hope to keep that going.
Oh man, we've got 2 chat sites going up. They're blowing up.
Yeah.
Now the chat sites ain't blowing up. I think I'm gonna have to reset this whole thing.
And you want to reset it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and let him sign off, and then I'll go ahead and reset, and then we'll bring Dustin Jarrett on.
Hal, one last question before we call it done with you. I've been down to see a race at Mobile, and I got to say, in today's age of late model local racing, it's a pretty unique place. What's your take on Mobile Speedway?
I love it. I mean, that's been my favorite track to race on so far. And that track has a wall in the front straightaway, separate the track from the fans,
and that's it.
No walls on the corners, no walls on the back straightaway. So it's a very unique place. I cut my teeth there. I love it. I flew out of the track. I've won races there. I won the championship there. I've pretty much done anything and everything you can do with that track. And
yeah, it's a fun place to watch for sure. I know the first time I went there, I watched a late model try to avoid a wreck in between 3 and 4, launched off of 4, and then the car sat there in a crumpled heap after they got the driver back into the pits for the rest of the night. They didn't even try to pull it up until the rest of the racing program was done for the night. That's a unique place.
Right, yeah, it's like I said, a great place to race on. And
oh yeah.
I took my excursion off of 1 and 2, broke a shock, and just shot straight off the track.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fast. I mean, you race literally to the apex of the corner. You're
oh yeah.
flat-footed and tight bank. So it's a fun track, fast, fun track to race on.
All right. Well, listen, Hal, we're going to let you go here. We're going to try to reboot this whole system. We already did the sponsor thing and families and all that.
Well, good. Y'all
and
did good.
We asked him to call back in and let us know when he can announce his new sponsors
That's right.
for the 500. And we wish you the best of luck.
Yep. Good luck this year.
Or 200, I'm sorry. And
Well,
Now, do you want me to go through Demi, or me just go ahead and give you a straight call since I got your number?
either way, doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
I'm very readily available, or you can call Demi. Either or, whatever you choose.
All right, that sounds good. Well, you have a good night, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank y'all very much. Thanks for having me on the show, guys. Appreciate it.
thanks for being there.
All right, bye-bye. For those that can watch it here, we're going to reboot the whole system and bring it back up. Take about maybe 2 to 3 minutes at the most. Just click on the link. I'll be taking and posting on the chat rooms.
Go do that. I'll answer the phone.
Let's talk racing.
Hey, this is Dustin Jarrett calling in about 7 minutes late.
Oh, you're good.
We're going to beat you on a wet noodle, but then again, I've heard you like that. All right, Bell, we're back here. Let's talk racing. We have Dustin Jarrett on the line here, and he is the announcer from the Eldora Speedway, and most everybody knows where that is. Go ahead, guys.
Dustin, I mean, we were just talking on our little break here, but tell us how you all got started. Tell us what got you into Eldora.
Well, I tell folks they were the only ones dumb enough to hire me, but the real story is the short version anyway. After traveling for 3 or 4 years with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, it's been down there close to you guys, Virginia Motor Speedway, and a few tracks in that neck of the woods. Decided, kind of wanting to get off the road. My wife and I had our very first child, had a beautiful bouncing baby boy last September, about 16 months ago, and just decided, man, it's the traveling thing is nice, it's great, it's a lot of fun, but I'm grown up, I'm a big boy now and everything. I want to watch this little boy of mine grow up, and so I wanted to get off the road with Lucas. And it just so happened, as luck or fate would have it, that the announcer at Eldora, he was leaving at the end of last year to just stay and announce a little bit closer to home and everything. I contacted Larry Bowes, the general manager, the director of race operations there at Eldora Speedway, about the possibility of announcing there. And as they say, the rest is history. Everything, like I said, I got really lucky, honestly. A lot of things just kind of happened to fall into place.
And what did you do before? I know you just said Lucas Oil, but what got you into broadcasting? I know you said you did the Lucas Oil, but let's go back a little bit further back.
Yeah, when I was with Lucas Oil, I did all of the internet broadcasts for the series. We typically did anywhere from 20 to 25, 26 live audio internet broadcasts for them every year. Now, before that, I worked for a regional racing series in the state of Kentucky, the Battle of the Bluegrass series, as their announcer and PR director. And before that was just, somewhat of a journeyman announcer and writer and hack and all that other stuff.
You did whatever they told you to do.
That's how I ended up getting married, too. I was... wife tells me to do, and look where I am now.
We did it here on you're now at Eldora, you're at Rossburg. You're at one of the most historic dirt tracks there is in Ohio. What's it like announcing there? How's your boss, Tony Stewart? Is he pretty good to work with?
Tony is great, and when Tony shows up there to race, it's not. He is the relaxed kickback and things like that. Tony Stewart. But when he puts the helmet on, it's just like when he's putting the helmet on a Sunday afternoon. He comes there to do business, and he, with the exception of the late model, this past year, he was undefeated in the other classes at Eldora. He raced his open wheel modified there one night, and won the night in the open wheel modified. He had a 360 sprint that he raced there a couple times last year, and won each time he was out in that as well. So, he whenever he straps the helmet on to actually race there a few times a year, he doesn't show any mercy, and the fans really enjoy that. They get a big kick out of seeing him race and everything. He puts on a nice show for him. But it's really cool to announce there. The biggest challenge of announcing there, guys, is there's something different at that racetrack every week. You know, one week we've got open wheel modified, late models. The next week you've got sprints, and then it's USAC midgets. So there's something different in there every week, and you always kind of, I guess, for lack of better words, guys, you got to stay on top of your toes, and if you don't know what's going on, you at least got to be a good BSer and make it look like you know what's going on.
Jeez.
You put a loop there, didn't I?
Yeah,
you caught us off guard there. What's your favorite series to announce for? When you got the midgets and when you got the sprints and the late models and you've got this eclectic group of racers there, what's the most fun for you as a announcer to do?
Guys, I have my entire life. I grew up around late models, and every series I've ever worked for has been with late models. I enjoy it when they're in there, just for the simple fact that I know those drivers personally on a more personal level than the other series. It doesn't mean that they necessarily put on better shows or anything like that. I am more comfortable when they are there. We had a really great year at Eldora last year, though, and was able to see some great racing. In all of the classes. The Kings Royal, one of the biggest sprint car races in the country. Behind Knoxville, of course, was one of the best races I saw in any class all year last year. Steve Kinzer passed Kerry Madsen on a restart with 2 laps to go to win that race. The UMP Nationals at the end of the season for the open wheel modified had 117 cars there. I mean, that was a phenomenal race. So everything puts on such a good show there. But for me personally, guys, I've been a late model guy my whole life. I love it when the late models roll in there. I'm like a kid at Christmas time when those guys are in there. It's a lot of fun. It really is.
Okay, since you've done the Lucas Oil and now are you when the World Outlaws come in, do you still help that announcer out? Are you still in there?
When the World of Outlaws sprints are there, as you guys probably know, Johnny Gibson is their announcer, does an absolutely great job, and he usually carries their entire broadcast. He's got his own deal that he sets up because they broadcast their races on the internet and things like that. I may step in and do just some of the in-house announcements and that sort of thing, or for a special event like the Kings Royal last year, I did all of the victory lane ceremonies and that type of stuff. So I have maybe a slightly smaller workload, and I still earn the same paycheck. I mean, you can't beat that deal, right?
Well, yeah, and it sounds kind of like a dream job. You get to meet a lot of you said you're a big late model fan, so I'm sure when you get guys like I can't even think of the names right now.
Billy Moyer, Scott Bloomquist.
Yeah, Bloomquist, Bad Boy Billy Moyer, and all them guys, Rick Eckert, and a lot of those guys coming in. I'm sure you're probably just as much of a fan as anything else.
Yeah, Larry Bowes and I were just talking about that at the St. Henry nightclub there a few weeks ago. We do something called the Eldora Broadcasting Network. We do some video clips and do a little race wrap-up after each event. We did kind of a season roundup there a few weeks ago, and off the camera, we were talking about that same thing. We are race fans first and foremost, and there is nobody else in the world that likes to see a better race than we do.
It makes your job easier, too, doesn't it?
Oh gosh, yes. There's nothing worse than announcing a race. You guys know that. That's a tough thing to do. You're trying to make a one-car breakaway exciting, and you're about falling asleep up there, and someone hits you in the back of the head with the microphone to wake you up. So, yeah, it's
when you're hoping and praying for a caution at the back of the field.
Right. So you kind of get tired of announcing the great battle going on for 28 spotters.
Yeah, right.
I'll tell you this little story. Denny Hamlin has a race down at Southside Speedway every year.
Right.
And Buck Roos actually announced it, and he also does Richmond International for when the Cup guys come in. We had a red flag on the back stretch, and they parked our cars under red flag on the front stretch. And Eric Amarola got out of his car to go to the restroom. And Buck caught on to this, and another guy, and I can't remember his name, and they played with him doing that for 10 minutes under that caution, and that was the best thing that ever could have happened underneath that red flag.
Oh, man, that's great.
So, you said you do interviews and all that, and I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot, and I'm sorry to do this to you, but it's been asked to me, so I'm going to ask you. Who's the guy you want to go up and interview every single time, and who's the one you go, man, I really, this guy's hard to approach, I should say.
I can give you one answer for both questions, but I'll do that, but also give you another one. Scott Bloomquist is that guy that you always want to interview because he's Scott Bloomquist. He gets the reaction from the crowd. There are half the people there cheering for him, half the people there cheering against him, and things like that. So it's going to be a good interview. And then on the flip side of that, never really know what he's going to say or kind of, controversy he's going to cause. Scott likes to stir the pot, and he does that a lot of times just to do it because he can and everything. So, I mean, he's one that, you both look forward to, and then you're like, oh, man, I'm not sure what's going to come out of this dude's mouth, too. But there are so many guys to choose from and everything, and I'll be really honest with you. Some of the best interviews, as you guys might gather, are the first-time winners.
I can see that.
To win a race at Eldora Speedway in any division is so amazing. It's when I'm really fortunate, I get to see the expression on these guys' face when they pull their car up onto the Eldora stage and they climb out of that car and they're announced as a winner at Eldora Speedway. Some of those interviews, it doesn't matter if it's a late model or if it's a street stock. Those guys are so happy just to have etched their name on the grounds of the Howland Half Mile High Banked Oval. That those interviews are some of the very best ones to do. It doesn't matter what class it is.
I'd probably feel the same way winning a golf cart race at Eldora.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
I don't think a lot of people realize Eldora really is out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's on the side of a hill. You go through Rossburg, you go, I think it might be a stoplight now. I believe when I was there it was a stop sign. You make a left and you go about 8-10 miles out of town, and that's where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, you drive to Dayton, Ohio, and they shoot you in from a cannon. I mean, that's
yeah.
You got to parachute into the place, and I mean, it's it's the easiest way to describe it. It's like Woodstock for racing, Because it's out there, and there's just a bunch of good old folks that are out there, and you can go out there one week. I was out there. For like just a basic regular show that we had, and there were 1,000, 1,500 people in the stands and things like that. Now this is a track, guys, that holds 23,000 people. Okay, so what would be a decent sized crowd at most racetracks looks like a very thin crowd there. But you go out there one night and you see 1,000, 1,500 people in the stands, parking lot looks empty, and you go out there a few days later for the World 100 or the Dream or the King's Royal or something like that. And like I said, it looks like Woodstock. I mean, there are miles upon miles of campers and guys out playing cornhole and bonfires going and things like that. And it's just, it really puts into perspective what people think of this place.
Oh yeah.
I mean, to have an almost cult following like that, guys. I mean, it's really it's nuts for a sport like we have. Think about that. It's nuts that people think that highly of a place like that. To surround the place like a bunch of vultures, 20-some thousand people for certain races throughout the year. It's crazy.
Well, and the thing about Eldora, and I've tried telling this to a lot of people, is you never know what the track's going to do from night to night.
Right. And that it's one of my favorite questions to ask drivers, whether I'm interviewing them for the video board or talking to them after the races or just shooting the bull with them sometime, is do you ever really get the racetrack figured out? And I have not yet had a single driver ever tell me, we really have this place figured out. There are guys that consistently seem to run well there, but it's such a hard track to figure out because, you look at the dream this past year, okay? And everyone's running the very, very, very top of the racetrack, knocking the walls down, lap after lap after lap.
Yep.
Winner, Billy Moyer, comes from the very top side of the racetrack. The World 100, 4 months later, 5 months later, Billy Moyer wins the race from 21st starting spot. Where's he running?
Right on the bottom.
Top of the track. You're exactly right. He is hugging that inside wall.
Yep.
So, it is. It's really interesting to see what groove comes out and who is going to be the first driver to figure out which groove is going to be the fastest and where his car is going to work the best.
That's the thing I remember about Eldora. You're either flat out on the top, and you ain't lifted. You're in a late model or a sprint car or anything. When that groove comes to the top, you're not lifted.
Right.
But when you put it down on that bottom, you really got to be a throttle jockey to run there. And you never know what you're going to get from week to week.
No, that's exactly right. And I guess as the casual fan, it's something that I didn't really pay much attention to until I did announce there for the first time this past year. Going there from week to week, you're exactly right. 1 week the track's going to be in one condition. The next week it's something else. The next week it's something totally different. But that again, I mean that's kind of what makes it so exciting. And honestly, I think that's why so many guys want to say that they're a winner there or they're a champion there, because it's kind of like playing that game that you finally conquer,
Yeah.
Get a win or a championship at Eldora. It's like, God, I finally figured this place out for at least one night or for at least one season. I'll tell you guys a funny little story here, or just to kind of put what Eldora Speedway means into perspective. Local guy actually lives just a few miles down the road from me, John Henry. He was last year's Sunoco American Late Model Series champion. It's a small touring late model series up here, okay? John won the 2009 Sunoco American Late Model Series championship, traveled around, rookie year late model, things like that. This past year, 2010, rather than going out and running his late model, doing that thing again, what did John want to do? He didn't want to do that. He actually took a step back, brought his old modified out of a barn, dusted it off, got it ready to race, ran at Eldora the entire year. Why? Because he wanted to win an Eldora Speedway track championship. Didn't care what division it was. He wanted to have that
prestige.
Speedway, thrown down in his resume, and that's what he did. He went out and it went right down to the wire, but again, long story made short, John won the modified track championship there this past year. So, I mean, that's, it's crazy to think that name means so much to so many different people.
It's amazing how people, it's just like when you run sprint cars. You want to win at Eldora, and you want to win at Knoxville.
Right.
And if you ask anybody, those are the two. Those are the two places that people want to run. Period. End of conversation. That's where they want to win.
And I mentioned to you guys earlier, I got to do the victory lane ceremonies for the King's Royal this past year, which I mentioned Steve Kinzer won. Now, Steve Kinzer, you think about sprint car racing, that's the very first name that pops into your head. I don't care who you are, where you're from, Steve Kinzer's name is synonymous with sprints. What hasn't the guy done? He's a 20-time World of Outlaws champion. He's won the Knoxville Nationals how many times? He's won the King's Royal, et cetera, et cetera. But when he won that King's Royal this year, all of those things didn't matter. It didn't matter he'd won that event before. It didn't matter that he was a 20-time Outlaws champion. He, honest to goodness, guys, he had tears coming from his eyes when he was down there in Victory Lane because he had won another King's Royal at Eldora Speedway.
Yep.
I'm primarily a road course kind of guy myself, but
I won't hold that against you then.
well,
Thank you.
I appreciate that. And I guess the biggest part, I did race some dirt oval when I was younger, but I've never really had good luck on dirt. But Eldora, a chance to win at Eldora would change my mind right now. It's that kind of place.
It is. It really is. We had a stock car driver. We call them stock cars. It's the equivalent of like a street stock or pure stocker.
Right.
We had a stock car driver pick up his first Eldora win this past year, and he was we use the phrase speechless a lot, especially announcers. We say speechless all the time. This dude literally could not come up with words in victory lane. He was just he was stunned, and again, I mean, tears in his eyes, almost getting choked up. That's what it means to win at that place.
Yeah. Well, you brought up something good too. A good announcer will actually make someone that stumbles. Announcer can bring how should I say it? You can bring something out of somebody,
or at least try to.
or at least try to. You're right.
Give them the opportunity to.
Yeah, you can kind of open the doors up for them.
The fallback question is always, well, tell us about your sponsors.
Yeah. Exactly.
If they can't come up with any other words, hey, at least mention your sponsors.
Yeah.
Do you ever get into and this has happened to me quite a few times interviewing people. I'm not a pro, believe me. I'm just a good old country boy. But the thing that I've found is that I've talked to several people, and pre-interviewed them, and I'm like, oh man, this guy's going to be dry. But when I get them on the air, it's like they do 180 degrees, and they're some of the best interviews I've ever done.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. And that's why, as an announcer, I'm not here to talk about me or my job or anything like that, but I personally have always felt like one of the most important things an announcer can do is familiarize himself with the drivers. Go down, introduce yourself to them, talk to them. I feel like I spent the entire 2010 season this past year doing that at Eldora. I started off one night and just walked from trailer to trailer to trailer and introduced myself to the drivers and talked to them for a few minutes. Just try to, pull some nuggets out of them, get some more information, write down the sponsors of the cars, the hometown of the drivers from, things like that. I mean, any time that you have that information and can pass it on, it just, it not only adds to the broadcast, but I mean, these are the guys that they've got, mom, dad, aunts, uncles, wife, kids, things like that out there in the crowd watching, and it just, it makes those people feel good whenever they hear, someone's name that they know, or a sponsor's name they know, or their hometown mentioned, or something like that.
Yeah, and ours does it too. Our track announcer does that too. He'll come around and he'll talk to you, and you actually get to know him pretty good, and you can rib him, and he'll rib you, but if that does seem to work a lot better.
Yeah, it does, and you never know when that kind of stuff might come in handy. I mean, whether you're doing that or you're working for the Lucas Oil Series or doing stuff on Speed Channel or whatever. I mean, that stuff can always come in handy at some point in time.
Now, we're going to talk about your boss a little bit.
Hey, let's do it.
Because I think he gets a bad rap. I honestly do. He is so intent when he races, and he just gets so, how should you say it, hardcore.
Yeah.
But he's really not a bad guy when you kind of get him away from that racing, is he?
Yeah, no, Tony is a great guy, and I mean, I'm not going to stand here and pretend like that, he and I are best friends, or that, I call him up, talk to him every day or anything like that. But, in the times that I've talked to him and interacted with him in Eldora and everything like that, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. He's actually, he is extremely down to earth, and the thing that I like about Tony is that Tony has not forgotten his roots. I mean, you look at just Eldora. I mean, look at everything that he has done for that place, and trying to improve it, from putting some new clay on it a year ago, to getting the video board up in turn 2, to, putting skyboxes up in turns 3 and 4, and those things may not be all of the things that fans want or drivers want or things like that, but he does what he can and takes little steps to kind of give back, I think, to the community that kind of helped raise him and make him who he is, and I think that right there just kind of shows the personality that he has, that folks don't see on camera, and that sort of thing. And it's it's kind of humbling to see those things done at his racetrack, because again, it does show that he cares. Not just about his track, he cares about the sport in general and just helping it grow and get established.
Now, yeah, and he is. I don't think a lot of people realize it, and that's why I'm glad I kind of had you in there to kind of get that straight, because a lot of people say, oh, well, he's He's just an idiot, or whatever you want to call it. He's hardcore. He doesn't like the fans or nothing like that. But he's actually totally the opposite.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, there's not a move that he makes or something that is done without a lot of good hard thought put into it. What's going to be the best for everyone involved. I mean, the fans, the drivers, the staff, the track, at local tracks, and the other promoters. What is going to be the best decision here? Should I do this? Should I do that? What is going to make the most sense to possibly do? And in the same sense, not lose sight of, Eldora Speedway, any racetrack is a business, too. You got to look at it from a business perspective and find out what's not going to just make the most people happy, but what's going to make the most fiscal and business sense as well.
Right.
Yep.
Well, he's just as much a fan as he is a racer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. You'll on nights that he's there when he's racing, the 3 or 4 times, 5 times a year that it is, you'll see him standing on top of the hauler, watching the guys race and things like that. And I'll tell you what, too, it's not out of the ordinary if you get there early enough to see Tony out there working on the racetrack or driving a Packer truck helping roll the racetrack in before the races either.
Yeah. Now, does Earl Baltz still come around?
Earl comes as much as he possibly can, guys. He and Bernice, they make it to a lot of races each year, and it's what a sight to see them at the racetrack, and the response they get from the crowd is amazing. Tony a few years ago implemented a race there called the Baltus Classic. It's the week before the World 100. And it's just a small $3,000 to win, $2,000, $3,000 to win late model race and everything. Kind of a tune-up for the World 100. But they have a big to-do where they bring Earl and Bernice. We bring them out on the stage, and I talk to them and things like that. Just the response they get from the crowd. We're not just talking, a round of applause and cheering and things like that. We're talking about every single person at this racetrack up on their feet cheering for the Baltuses. And it's really and truly makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Gives you goosebumps. To hear that kind of ovation for them is really, really wonderful. It's amazing.
It's hard for people that I grew up in Iowa. I grew up in the Midwest, and I've been to Eldora and Rossburg and all that. It's hard to find a driver, a car owner, a team member that can say anything bad about Earl Baltz.
Right. Because he's done so much for racing in general. Again, you don't just look at Eldora Speedway, but you look at throughout the area. A lot of folks forget, but there are other tracks here in West or Northwest Ohio that Earl either promoted or had a hand in or something like that, either along with Eldora or something along those lines. So he really has, and the thing with Earl and people say this, but it's the honest to goodness truth. He has always put the fans first, always, in everything that he has ever done. And that's again just another thing that makes him and makes the racetrack just such a like a pop culture icon. Basically, it really is.
Well, but there's a lot of story of Earl, somebody having a real bad night that somehow a couple $100 ended up in their pay.
Right.
So it's not. He did take care. He always looked after the fans, but he also looked after the drivers.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think Earl knew that you can do a lot to get the fans there, but if there are no cars there, the fans aren't going to be there to watch nobody race. You got to keep the drivers coming back. You got to keep them happy as well.
Yep. You got to take care of them both. And he ran a great facility. He really did. He's the one that really made Eldora.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The way the way he ran the show, the way the shows are still run there, amazing. The respect for that racetrack. We were talking at the World 100 earlier this year, and or last year, I guess I should say now. 15 minutes before the first heat race was ready to roll out on the racetrack. First heat race supposed to be on the racetrack at 7 o'clock. At 6:45, the first heat race and the second heat race were completely lined up in the lineup chute, ready to go out.
Yep.
There is not another racetrack in the country where the first 2 races are completely lined up, ready to pull out on the track before their scheduled starting time. And that shows you the respect that people have for Earl Baltz and for Eldora Speedway.
Oh, yeah.
That's true. Any other track you can think of? I mean, just at Langley, how many times do they call a division before all the cars are actually there?
Yeah. Well, you're right. I agree with you. I agree. But and that shows respect to Earl and the track and all that. He's exactly right.
Yeah.
Man, we have shot way over. Are you still good, Dustin?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good to go, guys. I got all night, man. We got all the time in the world here.
Well, man, let's just keep right on going. Here's a good one. No, this is your first year, and there's going to be 100 of these, okay, throughout your career. And I'm hoping you're going to be at Eldora again this year, right?
Yes.
Okay. So far to this point, your favorite moment, that moment that you go, man, I'm never going to forget it. I know you got one.
I tell you what it was. It was the King's Royal, because Kerry Madsen is a lap and a half away from his biggest career win. Okay, his signature win in his entire life. All right. Johnny Gibson is the World of Outlaw sprint announcer. He's up there doing his thing and announcing and things like that. Since I was doing the victory lane ceremonies, guys, I went ahead, I grabbed the wireless mic with about 3 laps to go. I started making my way down, towards the flag stand so I could cross the racetrack when the race was over to do victory lane. They had this caution with a lap and a half left. They get the field line back up. It's a single file restart. Kerry Madsen's leading, Steve Kinser's second, Danny Lasowski is third. I'm sitting on the very front row of the grandstand. The place is packed, okay, 20,000 some people. In the very front row, right behind the flag stand. Green flag comes out. Here comes Steve Kinser. Shoots down to the inside of turns 1 and 2. Pulls a slide job on Kerry Madsen and takes the lead. And guys, I swear to you, as much as I'm standing here right now, the roar of the crowd was so loud and so intense, it drowned out the sound of the 20 sprint cars that were on the racetrack. And I'm sitting in the front row, right along the front straightaway, and you could literally, the roar of the crowd when Kinser made that pass trumped the sound of the race cars on that track. And that was another one of those moments where, honest to goodness, goosebumps on the back of your neck. And it's certainly something I won't forget for a long, long time.
That's when the fan part comes in, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I would think that Steve Kinser would be someone good to talk to.
Yeah, Steve is I mean, he's a veteran at this. He knows what to do and what to say and things like that. And I mean, again, what I mentioned earlier, just his what I wasn't expecting was the raw emotion that he had in victory lane. I mean, again, here's a guy who's a 20-time Outlaws champion. He's won Knoxville how many times, and everything else known to man. And there he is with tears in his eyes in victory lane, having won, yet another King's Royal at Eldora Speedway. So I mean, just that raw emotion and everything, and the interview that he gave afterwards, and just talking about what that pass meant and things like that. And then on the flip side of that, guys, the interview that had to do with Kerry Madsen afterwards, just to see the utter disappointment in his eyes and hear it in his voice. I mean, this is a man who, again, was before that caution out, he was a lap and a half or less away from his, career-defining victory. I mean, the absolute biggest victory by far of his career, and it's taken away from him right like that. Right, in a matter of he's 15, 16 seconds away from winning that race, and it's taken away from him. And just the emotion of disappointment in his voice and the look in his eyes was, again, something else that you won't forget for a long time.
Yeah. Now, were you there? You might not have been there with, and I'll bring this up because you brought up his name, Danny Lasowski. Were you there a couple years ago?
I was not. No, I was not there for that race.
You know what I'm talking about,
right? Yes, yeah, I was not there for that one, unfortunately.
Well, actually, this was just a couple years ago. Were you? No, that was at Knoxville. I'm talking about the wrong thing. But Danny Lasowski, I was thinking.
I wasn't at that one either.
Yeah, you weren't at that one either. So now, he's a pretty good guy to talk to.
Yeah, Danny is. Danny's a real good guy to talk to. Danny's very, very humble to talk to as well. You know, I mean, he's very especially at this stage in his career, he's very relaxed, very laid back, and I mean, he'll be the first one to tell you, as far as Eldora goes, he's kind of had a love-hate relationship with the place, and especially the last few years, it's been a roller coaster ride for him.
That's right. Well, you know what? He was racing with Tony Stewart when that wreck happened there. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. So, now we're going to just do Eldora this year. Are you planning on going to any other tracks and doing any announcing? I mean, they do race up there quite a bit.
Yeah. I won't do anything else this year. I haven't done Speed Channel stuff for a couple of years now or anything like that. I do in my spare time write a column for Area Auto Racing News, and so I try to contribute to that every now and again. And when Eldora's not running, I'll try to sneak out to just a few local tracks here. Nothing too big or anything like that. And you guys probably know how this is too. When you go to a track and you work week after week after week, sometimes you just kind of want to get out and be a normal fan too, and just sit in the crowd and enjoy maybe your favorite beverage and get a little dirt in your hair and just kick back and enjoy the races for a night.
Oh, I have a problem with that. I cannot sit in the grandstands.
No.
I got to be in the pits. I know what you're saying, and I agree with you to a certain extent, but I cannot sit in the grandstands. I've never been able to.
It's either in the pits or in the cockpit.
In the pits or in the cockpit. Well, hey, I can't hold that against you then.
Yeah. So now, what else do you do? This is not your only job, I take it.
No, this is not. By trade am an admissions counselor at Ohio Northern University. It's just a small private university in Northwest Ohio. Just more or less try to help make sure they have an incoming class every year. That's the job that helps put food on the table.
Puts food on the table. What does your wife think of? Is she a race fan too? Does she come out and watch?
My wife had never been to a race before until she met me. This is no lie. The first race she ever went to was probably the second worst facility in the entire country. The second race she went to was probably the worst facility in the entire country, and she stuck with me after those two races. So I knew I had to hang on to her.
Yeah.
I have a story about that I'll have to tell you off air about something certain to that. But
all right.
We're not going to bring that up on air. But I know I've got something similar to that. Well, it's good, and now she is a fan, right? She now gets it.
Yeah, she when I was traveling with the Lucas Oil Series, it was kind of a tag team deal. She was actually employed by them as well, and she helped with registration and driver sign in and data entry in the computer and all that type of stuff while I was either doing internet broadcasts or race directing or doing Speed Channel stuff or all of that. So she got to know a lot of the drivers just as well or better than I did just through doing registration and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and that's good. It's great that she kind of, she gets it. She enjoys the racing, so that kind of lets you go, play at the racetrack now too.
That's right. That's exactly right. Again, that's why I married her.
Yeah, there you go. You got you a good one.
Yep.
Hey, Dustin, we're going to take a quick break, at least on the internet side, because we're recording this live as well, so we archive all of it. But I'm going to go ahead.
Okay, are we back on?
We're back up and trying it again.
We're trying it again.
Before I put anything in the chat rooms, I'm going to hit the link here and see what we do.
Lord have mercy. Well, now, Dustin, you're going to be probably every week at Eldora, right?
Yeah, every week that we race. Yeah. Now Eldora doesn't run every single week during the season. They have 20 to 25 events scheduled throughout the year, though.
Okay.
But they do run most weekends.
Okay. Well, on your off weekend, I'm going to make Eldora. I did all kinds of racing last year, and I helped out, and we ran for a championship. But I am going to take a weekend, and I am coming up to Eldora.
I hope to see you there.
You're going to be the first one to know that I'm there.
That's right. I better.
Okay. But you need to come down here, and, let's do a little trade and paint here. I'll get you down here, and we'll get you into a little bit of asphalt.
All right.
And you know, you can
go
see
home cleaner.
And you'll go. Well, I don't know about that.
Well, unless he's working on your car.
Yeah. Well, and you know, you're more than happy to come down. We'd love to have you down here at Langley. It's probably one of the best asphalt tracks there is on the East Coast. I can't.
Weekly racing, yeah.
For weekly racing, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to. That would be great. I mean, you know, kind of like we were talking about earlier. I'm a race fan first and foremost, and you know, there is nothing nothing better than on a Saturday night being at any kind of racetrack. I don't care if it's dirt or asphalt or a road course or what it is. I don't care what the class is, and just sitting there and watching racing or being in the pits working on a car or you know, talking to your buddies or whatever. Again, there's absolutely no sport in the world like that.
Yeah.
I don't know about this. If he comes down here, we're going to have to make a trip to VIR and get him in a cart or something.
Might be able to do that.
You may be in for a career change. May not be announcing anymore. We get you behind the wheel of something.
Hey, I tell you what, we a few years ago, I don't know if you guys remember the year that Steve Casebolt won the Dream at Eldora, $100,000.
Yep.
But just a few months before that, Casebolt and I and a few other guys, we did a little go-kart racing in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and I actually won the go-kart race that we had.
Nice.
There, you know, talking to everyone after he wins the highest paying dirt late model race in the country, $100,000, and I had to josh him a little bit and say, hey, I just beat you in a go-kart race a few months ago, man. I mean, I wheel this 2,300-pound race car around there better than you.
Have you had a chance to do some laps around Eldora?
I have not. I have not had a chance to do a lap around Eldora in anything. Not a car, a push truck, a golf cart, a wheelbarrow, nothing. I haven't even walked around the racetrack.
Really?
I have not, no. I am so worn out by the end of the night, and I got about an hour and a half drive home. I'm ready to get the heck out of there. But, you know, when I first get there and everything, they're working on the track and watering it and things like that. I've never taken a lap around the speedway. But they do have a two-seater late model.
I thought they did.
Yeah, that a couple times a year, they will, you know, they'll raffle off a chance to take a lap or a few laps around the racetrack in the two-seater late model. So
that'd be cool.
Maybe if I ask Tony real nicely or something, he can take me for a few laps around here sometime.
Oh, now that would be a story.
Now that would be kind of fun. Tony would try to scare you though.
He probably would. To make things even more interesting, I would probably take the wireless microphone down there with me so that I could announce while I was in the car riding shotgun. I'm just not sure that they wouldn't need to pull the sensors out for some of the things I may have to say while I was out there too.
I was going to say somebody might be wanting to be on that dump button.
That's right.
You were talking earlier about people going speechless in Victory Lane and everything. I'm not sure the wireless microphone would do you any good.
No. Not.
But anyway, Dustin, you know, we've had you on here damn near an hour.
Yeah.
Hey, that's is that a new record? Do I get any prize for that?
No, but it is damn good to have you on here, and
hey, I appreciate the opportunity.
And we're going to get you back on once the season gets started and all that. We're going to get you back on here because it's been a joyful having you on here. And like I said, you're invited down. You know, maybe we'll set something up. We'll do a little trade and paint. I can come up there and you can come down here.
And Carl Long and Kyle Petty got him beat.
That's true. Carl's got everybody beat. 2.5 hours.
We got done with him one night. It was like 10:20 before we got done. I think Kyle, we got done with him about 9:30.
Tell you what, guys, I really appreciate the opportunity. It's you know, I get a lot of love and appreciation for what you guys do. Again, I you know, did this kind of stuff for several years myself. I know how it is when you try to schedule things and get guests and things like that. I know the work that goes into doing what you guys do behind the scenes that the people don't see. You know, you're calling people and emailing people and Facebooking people and trying to you know, get them on the show and you know, get fans interested in tuning in and things like that. So just thank you guys for what you guys are doing, because again, I know the time and work and effort that goes into it that folks a lot of times don't see or know about. I know it takes a lot. So you guys keep on doing what you're doing. It's greatly appreciated on this end of things.
Well, thank you, and I got to thank Doc. He busts his butt and does this. I just show up and talk to people. So,
one more question for you, and I don't know if this name's going to ring a bell or not. Is Chuck Hall still down there anywhere affiliated with Langley or anything?
He just came back this year. He's one of our announcers, and he's doing promotions for Langley Speedway.
So the next time you guys see Chuck Hall, you tell him that I said hey.
We will do that.
Hey, how would you like to talk to him?
Hey, if Chuck is he around?
I can call him. He's on my phone. Hang on a second. I'm gonna call him. We'll have a little.
We'll get him back on.
Let's do that.
Hang on just a second.
Let's see if he will. So.
Chuck Hall used to back years ago. Chuck used to be the host site basically, or host the site that all of our Lucas Oil late models races were on when we did the internet.
I know. I helped set it up.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, Chuck did. Yeah.
So every time I did the broadcast, I'd always dial. I get my stuff set up, dial in, and Chuck would basically be the on-site producer, so to speak, and he'd always be the one I talked to during commercial breaks, get everything set up and things like that. So I indirectly, but kind of directly, worked with Chuck for many races there for 3 or 4 years.
Yep. So, yeah, and he's back out at Langley now. He's doing the PR, and he does a lot of the announcing. He does a lot of pit road announcing.
Good. Well, good for Chuck.
And great guy. One of the better guys out at Langley.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, real quickly too, I got to put a plug in for Eldora's website. It's eldoraspeedway.com. They have already got tickets on sale for the major events for 2011. The complete schedule is not just yet. We have our banquet coming up here in just a couple weeks. Hope to have the full schedule done by then. But in the meantime, you can watch a lot of video clips from last year. You can, again, order tickets for this year. Check out all the latest news and information. You can also add Eldora Speedway as a friend or be a fan of Eldora on Facebook. So for all the folks out there that are chatting in Facebook right now, if you're not already a fan of Eldora Speedway, definitely want to add them, and that's another good way just to keep up to date with all the news and information and that type of stuff.
Friend, I've also got eldoraspeedway.com, and it's a great website. And the fan, how is that working out for y'all? The Facebook.
It does really well, and I mean, I'm not the one that runs the Eldora Facebook page or anything like that, but the Facebook page for us works out really well. One thing that they did during the off season, guys, they started doing Flashback Fridays, where every Friday they would post 5 or 6 old pictures from over the course of the last several years. I mean, there's one of the most priceless pictures is a picture of Scott Bloomquist from about 20 years ago with long hair, and he's standing by his race car back when he drove the black 18.
Yep.
The wind's blowing his hair, and it's just it's a really just a cool picture to see, if nothing else, to just bring it back a few years and maybe even get a little bit of a laugh out of it.
Yeah, he was kind of a hippie-looking one back in the day, wasn't he?
It's yeah. I mean, it's just for lack of better words, it's a classic Scott Bloomquist photo. It really is. But that's something they do. But yeah, I mean, a lot of folks will get on the Eldora fan page there on Facebook and chat it up and talk about either upcoming events or races that we just had and everything. And it's just again, it's just another portal for communicating and voicing your opinions and thoughts on the races there.
Yep. Hold on, Doc. Are we going to get him?
Apparently he is probably sleeping over
In communique. Okay. Well, listen. We're going to let you go here, Jason. I know you got other things to do, but we're going to get you on towards the beginning of Dustin. Why did I say Jason?
Well, because Jason Jarrett, Dale Jarrett.
No relation, by the way.
No relation.
Too
Okay.
bad. My wife would love to know you if you knew Dale Jarrett real well.
But we're going to get you back on just before the beginning of the year. Get that, get your, boy, now I'm just a loss for words.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah, now I'm gonna ask a serious question. I haven't had a chance to do this. I've been in the back in the other room trying to work with the tech support guys on the main server, trying to figure out why we're not rebroadcasting. But how easily or how hard would it be to actually try to snag Tony to get him and you on here at the same time?
You know what? I wish I had a good answer for you for that, but I'm probably not the best person to ask. I don't know. I know that he, like everyone else, has usually got a pretty busy schedule and things like that. But I mean, if you schedule things with the right people and work out a time where he could come on for 15 or 20 minutes, then I'm sure that if the scheduling worked out for him and everything, that he'd probably love to come on.
Yeah, the biggest part. I mean, and I hate to say this, normally with other people, I'll get in touch with them and get their PR people and either call them by cell or emails and get responses back. But there are just a few certain people you don't even get responses back from the PR people.
Right. No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. Having done this kind of stuff a few years myself, I know exactly what you mean, and it's again, a lot of folks don't realize there's a lot of work that goes into putting a show together like this. I mean, huge kudos to you guys for doing this.
Yeah, lately here, all of a sudden there's been a new big spring of everybody wanting to be on the show all of a sudden. Now, of course, it's the beginning of the year and everybody's starting for sponsors.
That's a good problem to have, though. If you have a lot of people that want to be on, that's a great problem to have, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, because you got some people that want to put out some news real quick, and you're sitting here, okay, we're booked up for almost a month in advance,
Okay.
And then we have like a local sports grill that we have. They want us to come out there and broadcast from there every other week if we could.
Ain't nothing wrong with that as well. Are they going to supply the food, too?
Well, I'm going to start talking to them about that. Last time we went in there and they gave us a few things, but it was nice. The biggest thing is it's a large room you're in, and some of the stuff we wanted to do, you couldn't, if you got further than, let's say, 15 feet away from the people on the show, you couldn't hear them.
Right.
I mean, granted, those on the internet, they could hear you just fine and well, and I still haven't had a chance to go back and watch that show yet. See what all I missed.
It worked out. I watched it yesterday. It turned out really well. So.
Yeah, because we had a lot of good feedback about that show, and so everybody says, "When are you going back out? When are you going back out?"
That's my RC cars.
All right, Dustin, let's let you go here, and we'll be in touch. We'll get with you just before the season and get that schedule out after your meeting and all that, and we'll be seeing you this year.
All right. Hey, sounds good, guys. Thanks again for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. And you guys enjoy the rest of the off season here.
We're going to try.
What off season? You get an off season. I don't get an off season. Have a good night, Dustin.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dustin.
Bye-bye.
We're going to have him back on here.
Oh, he already told me he'd love to be on the show, so we could do
Maybe
it.
we can get an Eldora update every now and then. Sign that. Let's get out of here. We've had our problems tonight.
Oh, I'm still on with tech support, so I just
We'll have it fixed next week. Don't know what's going on, but a lot of people had a problem with it.
What gets me is they're saying, "Oh, well, you're not out there doing a broadcast," and said, "Well, some people are seeing it, so we reset it, and now nobody's seeing it." So, anyway,
I don't know.
Everybody, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you later.